This section of this video is to give, many of you a context to think about, to reason. You know what I mean? Concerning Very Dark Man's case. I've made 2 videos about it, and it becomes necessary to also make this video to puzzle the minds of people who can actually think and reason. This is owing to the video footage that was released by GT Bank. You know what I mean? And as such, this video focuses on whether Very Dark Man was arrested inside GT Bank or not. I'm not talking about the abusive way of EFCC's arrest. You know how EFCC arrests people gruesomely or in a very abusive way. I have condemned that in several of my videos, and I will continue to condemn that, because you can only arrest a criminal in such fashions, the way they arrest people many a times in this country, Nigeria, the way they bundle people. So if that was exactly how they arrested Very Dark Man, which many people alleged, because we haven't seen any video clip for the arrest, it means it is condemnable, it is wicked, it is useless, and it is unlawful. You know what I mean? While we are waiting for the reason for the arrest, to come from EFCC. The point I want to establish here is this. The argument which has, trailed over time now, people keep bringing different opinions and narrative to the internet space on whether VDM was arrested in GT Bank or not. The question I want to ask is this. Does it mean that there is no one single fan or even enemy of VDM who was present in that bank when the arrest was being made or when VDM was being detained? Because I'm pretty sure you cannot detain somebody in such a way without the person, raising a voice, without an uproar. You know what I mean? Asking questions. Why are you detaining me? Why are you restricting my movement? Which will draw attentions of people. From the video footage from GT Bank, you can see that there were actually people in the bank. There are people. You know what I mean? Okay, the question is, VDM is a public figure in Nigeria of today. Anybody who doesn't know about VDM possibly is not live on any social media handle. Possibly the person doesn't have a phone, or the person doesn't even have some offline conversation about Nigeria. So VDM is well known. Even in that GT Bank, I'm sure VDM has fans and followers. Yes, who are bank officials. So should anything of such that was originally alleged that VDM was locked behind security doors, my first video, this was the narrative, and I condemned both the GT Bank and the EFCC for going that direction. But after I saw the video footage where VDM walked out of the bank, even though the earlier information said he went to the bank with his mom and with his friend C-Pack, we could actually see also C-Pack in that video. The mom was not seen. I don't know why the mom was not captured in that video footage. But the question again remains. Does it mean that VDM is now very and so insignificant in Nigeria that not even one fan of his or one of his enemies has come to the media to present a true picture of what happened at the bank? To say, this was what happened. I could hear an uproar. I could hear an altercation between VDM and the bank officials. They restricted VDM. They stopped him before EFCC came in or before DSS came in. Remember, from the original narrative, they said it was the DSS. Some said it was the police. Later, they said it is the EFCC. So, when we are analyzing issues like this, don't always put all your emotions alone into it. Right? Try to also ask some, critical questions around the situation so that it will help you to understand the true picture of the event. So if it means that there is nobody with any true picture of what happened at GT Bank, in order to counter the footage that was released by GT Bank, because many are saying that the footage was doctored, the footage is not complete, that is not true, something else happened upstairs, something else happened here, the narrative keep changing. You know what I mean? Like I've always told you people, I work with information that is readily available. There are some things that happen. Some people will reach out to us as, public speakers or content creators and say, okay, this is what happened. They will even show you some video clips and all of that. In this case, nobody has come forward and we haven't seen any video available to that, end on the public space. So this should be a reminder to you that The video clip that was released, just maybe probably, although I am sincerely convinced to a large extent that the narrative that pushed earlier that VDM was arrested inside the bank is not true from that very video footage. Whatever else that may have happened, whether there is anybody that made a call, whether there is anything that happened, it's not actually part of the context of this discussion. The original narrative is what I'm trying to, re-emphasize on, that it was not true. VDM was not arrested in the bank, and that has been substantiated, which amplifies my last video. I wasn't discussing whether there was somebody that called the EFCC from the bank, or whether that was not the context of that video. Meanwhile, if you claim that GT Bank called EFCC on the phone, the question is this. So did EFCC inform all the banks in Nigeria to tell them that whenever VDM comes around, that they should signal them or that they should call them? When you begin to think this way, it becomes, fallacious. I would probably say it becomes useless, because VDM is a public figure. Arresting him by EFCC is not something that will be a rocket science, because he doesn't go out unnoticed. Wherever he goes, there are fans, there are followers, there are even enemies that can announce easily his presence. You know what I mean? So, but if we now begin to talk about the modalities of the arrest and all of that, which I have condemned in my first video, I asked the question, why did EFCC not invite Very Dark Man to their office first until he refused before coming out for him to arrest him on the street? You know what I mean? So I asked that question, which violates due process, which I'm an advocate of, or which I've been advocating for. Due processes. So let us not be too emotional and sentimental over issues. I have condemned the manner of the arrest of Very Dark Man, which I stood for. Many of you may not understand that when you see me make some critical analysis and all of that, you think that I don't like Very Dark Man, that I'm opposing. I don't hate anybody, my brother. I do not. When Very Dark Man announced his NGO, I called one of my media managers and I said, please donate so amount of money to Very Dark Man's NGO. He has a good cause. I did that. This is the first time I'm mentioning it on the media. I never did. Because the way I understand life and my Christian belief, I believe in doing things in secret. Moreover, I didn't want to mention it on the public space because many Nigerians, as usual, will interpret it as an eye service. So, we work with what we have seen, with some reasoning from what we have seen before we talk. We don't just talk because others are talking. But unfortunately, I do understand that not everybody who is present on the media has the mental capacity to think. You know what I mean? I have said it. The onus is now on EFCC to make a public statement. EFCC has to explain to Nigerians why they arrested Very Dark Man, who is behind the arrest, and why they arrested him in that fashion. That is what I have condemned, because it looks more like arresting a criminal. If everything that was alleged during the course of his arrest are entirely true. So, don't get too emotional on things, but rather, learn to think for yourself. I don't get mad at you when you don't agree with me or when you disagree with me. That makes us two different persons. And personally, it makes me unique because I've learned to realize that not everybody can actually be like me, unfortunately. And I can't be you. You know what I mean? We have different opinions. At some point, we can align on some things. In some cases, we may not align. That is life, unfortunately. Maybe you went to University of Lagos during your bachelor's degree, and I went to Uniport or University of Nigeria or Namda Square University. Okay, that is preference, and it goes alongside with our volitions, with our opinions. So at this point, I will continually bring an overview to this issue if the need be, so that those who can actually understand will get to know the details. At this point, I will allow you to be the judge. Don't forget to let me know what to think in the comment section and share this video. Man, another person, God bless you.